Hey there, welcome to another edition of It's Autism, Now What? Today, well, I want to share a story with you about our little guy and, oh, how do I even start this? Okay, so let me just dive in. So, our little guy's 5 years old now. I've had him since he was 17 months. And what we learned over time as they get older is they figure out how to turn doorknobs. So we went and purchased these plastic covers, and they snap together over your doorknob, and they allow you, so this would actually be the back of it that's going to go against the door, and this, I don't want to put it together, would be the front, so you have enough room to turn the lock if you need to. And then your fingers, actually, when you go to grab the doorknob, are going to go in these holes like this, and then you turn it. So we have had these doorknob protectors, these covers, on our doorknobs for the last 2 years, until last week. When our little guy figured out how to get his little fingers right here and turn the knob, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, now granted, you know, those things were helpful when they were on, and they lasted a whole 2 years. And one of the benefits about those, it's a good and bad benefit, is when they're on the doorknob, they make great noise so that you know that they're trying to turn the doorknob. But they are a pain when you're trying to be quiet and sneak in. You can still hear the noise. So last week, our little guy figured out how to get his fingers in the holes and turn the doorknob and open, and he did that to the front door. And praise the Lord, my daughter was out front and heard the front door open, and there he was. And that afternoon, I put on chain glides, which are the kind of door protection where the chain slides over to where you can only open the door like that much. So every door now has chain glides on it. And I took this off. I'm like, well, while it might be helpful to alert me that he's trying to turn the doorknob, I'm kind of over having these on my doorknobs for 2 years. And he's figured out how to turn them anyway, so I've taken those off. But I now have chain glides. And the reason why I bring this up is because some of the children that have autism are what we would call, I call them runners, other people call them elopers, but they're runners. They take off, they elope. And in the past year and a half, I have read stories of at least 3 autistic children in our area that have gotten out of their houses, and for some reason they're drawn to lakes, and they've drowned. And it's heartbreaking for the family. And I just can't even imagine what that's like. And I know for myself, when I think of, okay, I put those on every doorknob in the house, even out and going into the garage and out in the garage. I had those covers on because I didn't want Jackson to have the ability to be able to get outside. It's like him getting outside is one of the things that I think about. And as parents, we should all think about that. Whether our child has autism or not, that is a concern, that they would be a runner, and so we want to do what we can to protect them. But something about them, that curiosity, they want to go outside. And many of them get outside and you don't even know it, and they take off, and then before you know, tragedy can happen. I know this is also a concern at school. I know for myself, Jackson goes to an ESE school, and I've told them, he's a runner. He's gonna take off. How do I know this? Because as soon as he gets outside, he starts running. and I'm running after him down the street. He'll run into the middle of the road. It doesn't matter. He has no concept of safety. He just goes. So he'll run into the middle of the road. He'll run around the whole block. I'm running after him to try and catch him because he is pretty fast. So I know at school, that's a thing. That's a concern for parents. It's a legitimate concern for parents who have children with autism that their child could have already proven that he's a runner, that he's an eloper, and would take off. And would take off and nobody even realized that he's gone. I read a post the other day of a child that got out of school, not once but twice, and got away. Little guy, I think first or second grade, something. And the parent, oh my goodness, the trauma that the parent must feel, and how hard it must be to drop their child off at school knowing my kid could run away today and nobody would know, and then what would happen? The fear that they would be under. Admittedly, I have the same fear. Is he going to get out from people's vision and run? And he has no fear of anything. He'll run right into the road. So we put the chain glides on. And one of the things now when we go to, and I see it all the time, and I think in my brain, I don't know how many of you remember, some of you might not be old enough, but those that are older may remember the story of Adam Walsh, who disappeared in the South Florida Mall. I think it was 30 plus, it was at least 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. And back then, it didn't seem like that was a common thing. But this little boy disappeared in the mall, and his dad went on to create the show America's Most Wanted, and it was a tragedy. It was terrible. You just feel awful for the parents for that to happen. And I can't tell you how many times I'm in the grocery store or somewhere at some store or something, and I see children, young children, walking 10 and 15 feet behind their parents. And their parents are like looking at everything else, and they're not paying attention to their kid who's walking back here. I can't do that with our guy. Nor do I want to. It's not safe because in my mind, I think Adam Walsh, 30 plus years ago, disappeared. Somebody snagged him out of the mall. And so for Jackson, for us, it's like I'm holding Jackson's hand. He's with me the whole time because I know he's going to take off. And do I want to go running through the store after him or go running down the sidewalk after him while I'm in the store? No. Not to mention, I want him safe next to me. And I'm having a hard time understanding the parents that just let their kids walk 10, 15 feet behind them, especially in today's world with all the human trafficking that's happening. But for Jackson, it's also for his own safety in that he just has no fear of anything and no concept of cars coming, that he'll just run right out in the middle of the road and think nothing of it. As many times as I have stopped, let's look both ways, as many times as I've done that, he still does not grasp the concept at 5 years old. And so it's stay with me. When I go to the grocery store, Jackson I'm still hiking this kid up and putting him in the shopping cart and maneuvering his legs to be able to sit in there so that he can't move, he can't get out. I'm eventually not going to be able to do that anymore, and I don't know that he's going to be one of those kids that you oftentimes you'll see kids in the actual back of the cart where they're sitting back there, where their parents have picked them up and they've sat them back there. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that with him, because then it's going to be more interested about taking the groceries out and smashing them together and taking the canned goods and smashing the stuff that's in bags. Yeah, as it is now, he can reach back behind him and pick stuff up and drop it. So eventually, he's either not going to be able to go to the grocery store with me, or someone's going to have to go with me, or we're going to have a long trip at the grocery store, holding hands, trying to push cart, train him. I'm hoping that one day I can train him to where he can walk next to me without me holding hands. We've been working on that, but it takes time. So I just wanted to share that with you because I know that that's a concern for parents, is their child getting away. So, you know, if you see a parent running after a child, you know, most of the time that's why, because their kid is trying to run away. And the kid thinks it's fun. Half the time, Jackson thinks it's hilarious. Oh, I got Aunt Net to run. Yes, you did. You got me to run and I can't breathe. You know, but, you know, because then it becomes a game of chase. And they think it's great. So, you know, the other option is not to run after them. But in Jackson's case, I can't do that because he just runs right into the middle of the road. So anyway, if you see a parent taking off, most of the time that's why. If you see a kid that's running free and a parent is, you know, screaming for them to stop and the kid's not stopping, maybe help. I don't know, maybe help. I don't know. Have some grace for those parents who, you know, show up to an event and their hair is all disheveled and everything, and you're like, what happened to you? Well, I just chased my kid down the block because he ran away. And you know, it's hard. It's hard, isn't it? Those of you that are raising kids with autism, it's hard. But you know what? There are some great victories in there too. So I don't want it to be all negative. There's some great victories too, where there's some days where I'm just like, yes, we did it, yes, and Whitco, this is awesome. He did awesome. He was amazing. Oh, there's lots of days like that too, but on the days when it's not like that, you're like, okay, help me get through another day. Help me get through the next 5 minutes, please. We could do this, I know. So anyway, let me encourage you, keep it up. You're doing great. One step at a time. Or if you are chasing them, well, then it's going to be lots of steps. But one step at a time. It does get easier. Some things do. And then I find it kind of changes, you know, and well, let's go to the next level and let's bump you up from a novice to an intermediate. Yes, until you become a professional. Whew. Anyway. All right, well, I'll let you go. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.